Jake Carter had seen his fair share of bad deals. A lifetime of working with grease, scrap metal, and ships that belonged in museums rather than the sky had made him something of a connoisseur of bad investments. But this was a spectacularly bad investment. He stood in the blazing sun of Dalos 4's third moon, arms crossed, staring at what was supposedly a ship but looked more like a crime scene. The hull was rusted to hell, entire panels were missing, and the landing gear had collapsed in on itself like it had simply given up on life. A faint sizzling noise came from somewhere inside, which suggested either a coolant leak or some particularly ambitious vermin setting up shop. Jake whistled low. "Wow, magnificent, isn't she?" said the man beside him. Jake turned his head slowly, taking in the tall, elegant figure of Prince Zeltorin of the Vornak Dominion. Everything about the guy screamed arrogance, from the luxurious embroidered robes to the smug expression that suggested he'd never worked a day in his life. And why would he? The Vornak royals owned half the galaxy and had enough wealth to buy and sell planets on a whim. Yet here he was, standing in a Dalos for junkyard, trying to offload this abomination onto the one idiot desperate enough to consider it. "She's a collector's item," Zeltorin continued, gesturing grandly at the heap of metal like he was unveiling a masterpiece. A true relic of a bygone era. Jake squinted at a section of the hull where someone had scrawled, "Keep away, may explode," in bright red paint. Aha! And which bygone era was that? The outlawed fire period? Zeltorin chuckled, the kind of chuckle that said he wasn't really listening. "You're fortunate, human. I was planning to have this fine vessel scrapped, but then I thought, no, this is beneath me. A ship like this deserves a new home. Someone who will truly appreciate her." Jake gave him a flat look. "How much?" The prince grinned. "For you? A mere 40,000 credits." Jake barked a laugh, so sharp it could have sliced through Durasteel. "Yeah, okay, sure. Let me just sell my kidneys and my soul real quick. 35? I don't have 35. 25 then. A steal." Jake rubbed his temples. He barely had 10,000 to his name, and that was after pooling every last credit from his savings, some generous bar bets, and one extremely questionable loan from a guy named Three Finger Sal, whose nickname implied a lack of mercy. But damn it, Jake wanted out. He was tired of fixing ships for other people, tired of living paycheck to paycheck, tired of watching every other mechanic take off into the stars while he stayed grounded. And here it was, his chance. A real ship, even if it looked like it had been assembled in the dark by someone with severe brain damage. "I got 10, Jake said. Zeltorin's nose wrinkled. 10? You insult me." Jake shrugged. "Take it or leave it." The prince studied him for a long moment, as if weighing whether haggling was even worth his royal time. Then, with an exaggerated sigh, he waved a lazy hand. "Fine. Take this magnificent specimen. But don't come crying to me when you realize you have no idea what you've just bought." Jake extended his hand, and Zeltorin eyed it like one might regard a particularly dirty napkin before shaking it. A few minutes later, Jake was officially the owner of this disaster of a starship, and immediately he began to regret everything. The interior smelled like burnt wiring, stale air, and broken dreams. Dust coated every surface, and a few exposed cables sparked ominously overhead. He kicked aside an empty ration canister and tried not to think about how long it had been since someone had last piloted this thing. Jake sighed and placed his hands on his hips. "Well, Howler, let's see if you're actually worth all the money I don't have." The ship did not respond. Obviously. He popped open a maintenance panel near the cockpit, revealing a tangled mess of frayed wiring, some of which had been chewed through. "Oh, fantastic," he muttered. "Electrical work. My favorite." The engine room wasn't any better. The main drive core was caked in grime, and one of the cooling rods looked like someone had tried to stab it to death. But despite all that, something felt off. Like beneath the rust, beneath the damage, something was waiting. Jake exhaled. "Guess we find out if you're a hunk of junk or a hidden gem." He pulled out his trusty toolkit and got to work. Jake had seen a lot of strange things in his life. Ships held together by duct tape and prayers, engines that should have exploded but didn't, and once, a pilot who swore his ship ran better when he sang to it. But nothing, Asterisk, asterisk, nothing, asterisk, asterisk, prepared him for what was happening inside the howler. It started small. He was knee-deep in a mess of fried wiring, muttering to himself about how much of a colossal idiot he was for buying this wreck when the ship fixed itself. One moment, he was yanking out a dead conduit, and the next, the exposed wires slithered back together like they had a mind of their own, fusing seamlessly, metal knitting itself back into place. He yelped, scrambling back so fast he smacked his head against the bulkhead. "Oh no! No, I did not sign up for haunted ship nonsense," he muttered, rubbing the back of his head. Then the lights flickered. A deep hum rolled through the deck plating, and the entire ship shuddered like it was waking up from a long, uncomfortable nap. Jake froze, heart hammering. The control panel beside him lit up, screens flashing to life with a flood of unreadable text. Then, just as suddenly, the words rearranged themselves into flawless galactic standard. Systems reinitializing. Primary core reboot in progress. Asterisk, asterisk. Jake stared. That's probably fine. A low, mechanical growl filled the air. He definitely took that back. Not fine. Not fine at all. Before he could so much as consider running, a voice crackled through the ship's speakers. Deep. Rough. Amused. Designation: Fenrir. Wolf-class warship. Operational status: disgraceful. Jake blinked. I'm sorry, what? Ah, a human. The voice sounded vaguely disappointed. Expected: Dominion pilot. Received: malnourished mechanic. Jake scowled. Hey, rude. Also, what do you mean, wolf-class warship? This thing is barely a ship. More like an extremely aggressive trash heap. A pause. Then, insult acknowledged. Retaliation. Pending. Jake did not like the sound of that. The screens around him flickered again, this time displaying schematics, and that's when he saw it. Beneath the rust, beneath the missing panels and the broken systems, the Howler wasn't just any ship. It was something else entirely. The sleek, hidden armor plating beneath the decayed exterior. The reinforced weapon ports that had been sealed over to make it look harmless. And, most notably, the organic AI core. Something outlawed in half the galaxy after the last war nearly went nuclear over ships that could think for themselves. Jake swallowed. Oh, I really bought something stupid. Correction, you acquired a masterpiece. And now, human, we have work to do. As if on cue, the ship roared to life. Panels shifted. Metal groaned as entire sections of the hull repaired themselves. The floor rippled, cables slithering into place. The rust flaked away, revealing a gunmetal gray beast underneath. Jake staggered back. Whoa. What are you doing? Restoring combat functionality. Preparing for immediate hostilities. Warning. Incoming hostiles detected. Jake froze. Hostiles? The external cameras flickered on, displaying the outside of the scrapyard. A trio of sleek, black ships had just dropped out of orbit, their insignia unmistakable. Asterisk, asterisk, Vornak, Dominion mercenaries, asterisk, asterisk. Jake groaned. Oh, come on. I haven't even done anything yet. Incorrect. You exist. That is enough. The lead mercenary ship crackled over the comms. Unidentified vessel. Stand down and prepare for seizure. That ship is Dominion property. Jake hesitated. He could explain, right? He could reason with them. Maybe tell them he got scammed, and they could just go talk to their dumb prince. Then the first laser blast hit the hull. Jake flinched. Okay, guess we're skipping negotiations. Combat mode engaged. The Howler, or Fenrir, apparently shifted again. More panels peeled back, revealing pulse cannons, missile bays, and a very angry-looking railgun. Jake gaped. This ship is very illegal. Correct. Now, sit down before you become a smear on the ceiling. Jake barely had time to dive into the pilot's chair before the Howler moved on its own, spinning up its engines with a snarling roar. Then it struck back. A pulse cannon fired, taking out the lead mercenary ship's shields in one shot. The second ship tried to break away, only for Fenrir to pivot impossibly fast, its railgun firing a single precise shot straight through the cockpit. Jake had no idea how he was still alive. The final ship, realizing it had severely underestimated its target, tried to retreat. Fenrir let it. They will send more? Jake gulped. Of course they will. The ship's engines flared. Then we run. The Howler, or Fenrir, as it now insisted on being called, was fast. Stupidly fast. The moment the last mercenary ship fled, the Howler punched its own engines, ripping out of the Dallows for atmosphere with enough force to nearly separate Jake's soul from his body. He barely had time to strap in before the stars outside blurred into a streaking mess of hyperspace. Jake sucked in a breath, then let out a slow, shaky exhale. Okay, so, that was horrible. Let's never do that again. Statement. Your distress is noted. However, your survival percentage has improved significantly. Previous odds, dismal. Current odds, slightly less dismal. Jake scowled at the cockpit ceiling. Gee, thanks. I feel so much better. He scrubbed a hand down his face, tried to process everything. The Howler wasn't just some junk ship. It was a Wolf-class warship, a piece of forbidden military history. The kind of ship that had entire battle fleets running the other way when they were still in commission. And now it belonged to him. Jake groaned. I bought a death machine. Correction. You acquired a highly sophisticated combat vessel. Your financial decisions remain questionable, but your survival instincts are showing promise. Well, excuse me if I wasn't expecting my discount scrapyard special to come with a war criminal AI. Fenrir made a thoughtful humming noise, which was disturbing considering it was coming from a ship. Clarification. I have never been convicted of war crimes. That requires being caught. Jake froze. I feel like that was supposed to make me feel better, but it really didn't. A warning chime interrupted their conversation. The external sensors had picked up something, a signal ping. Someone was looking for them. Jake winced. Please tell me that's not more mercs. Analysis. Negative. This signal is significantly larger. Source. Dominion Fleet-class battlecruiser. Estimated arrival, 3 minutes. Suggested course of action. Flee immediately. Jake's stomach dropped. A battlecruiser? Already? He hadn't even had time to have a panic attack about the first set of mercenaries. Why the hell do they care so much? He muttered. Prince's shiny robes practically gave you away. Incorrect. The prince was an arrogant fool. His ignorance cost him dearly. The Dominion will not make the same mistake. Jake gritted his teeth. He had two choices. He could run forever, dodging mercenaries and bounty hunters until they inevitably caught up to him, or he could fight And as much as he hated to admit it, running had never been his style. All right, Fenrir, he muttered, cracking his knuckles. How good are your stealth systems? Superior. Capable of fooling long-range Dominion scanners. However, engagement is inadvisable. Dominion battlecruisers possess overwhelming firepower. Sure, Jake said. Except they're expecting a junk ship. Not a Wolf class. And definitely not one that can turn invisible. A pause. Then, oh, I see where this is going. Risk assessment. Reckless. Probability of success. Low. Probability of amusement. High. Engaging stealth mode. The cockpit lights dimmed as Fenrir's hull adjusted, shifting into a sensor-absorbing state. The ship vanished from Dominion scans. The battlecruiser dropped out of hyperspace, massive and menacing, searchlights sweeping the void, but it saw nothing. Jake grinned. Oh, I think I'm going to like this. For the first time in his life, he wasn't just fixing ships. He was flying one.